Good day, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we have with us Sneha Kumar. Came to Canada as a young child, 3 years of age. Has moved up to an entrepreneurial role in times that she has been here. And though normally we have professionals who are already in the field and we bring them on this channel, but this time it's a unique case because Sneha has reflected an amazing spirit of entrepreneurship, and we will get to hear that story from her today. So, Sneha, if you can get started by telling us a little bit about yourself first.
For sure. Well, thank you for the introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, so as you mentioned, I did come to Canada at age 3. My parents actually brought me here from Dubai, and my parents are actually a little bit unique as well. My dad is Indian, he's from Kerala, and my mom is Filipino. So that's why some people look at me and they don't know where I'm from, and it's very unique, I know, but I'm very grateful because both my parents are very well educated. My mom is in the healthcare field, and my dad was in finance, so I had big shoes to fill, I guess you could say. When we came to Canada, we had it pretty like rough, I guess you could say. My parents didn't have a lot of money when they came here. So when we got here, we literally lived in like a hotel for about 6 months, just to kind of make things work until my parents could get jobs, because we are like considered immigrants coming here. My parents' educational background did not carry into Canada, and they did not get the same licenses and everything that they had before. So they
Mhm.
had to start from the ground up again. Um, and so that's just like watching my parents my whole life work so hard just to get back to where they originally were when we were in Dubai, was very honestly, sometimes it was sad to see, and other times it was inspiring. But overall, I would say it has inspired me, to believe in hard work and to believe in like just because it's harder for you or for someone, it doesn't necessarily mean it's impossible. And if you work really, really hard and you are committed and you're driven, like you will reach that goal. Both my parents were able to finish school again. They went back to school, even with me being so young. Um, Obviously, there were sacrifices there, but they ended up getting their licenses again. They ended up working in their field again. And now, my mom is very well off in her company. My dad, he did pass away when I was 12, but when he passed away, he was actually a CFO for Wendy's Arabia at the time. So he left me with a I guess you could say he left me with a lot to think about, like in terms of like business and like working in C-level and stuff like that. It really inspired me. But I always knew I didn't want to work in a field where I would be stressed out. And my parents made it very clear to me, even though they worked in healthcare and finance, they always said, I don't want you working in healthcare or finance, which is really funny because usually parents want you to follow in their footsteps. But my parents were always so they were always so, do what you love. Like, don't ever think we're going to force you to do something that you don't want to do, but we do want you to get a university education. Wherever you want to go with it, that's up to you. But as long as you go to university, we're happy, and that's all we want.
And you told me a very interesting story about how in university you went ahead and bought a house and your mother had some thoughts on
Yeah,
it. Want to share that story with us?
for sure. So when I was in my first year, so I actually graduated high school early. So I graduated high school when I was 16. So I was in grade 11. So I ended up going to university when I was 17. So I was like the youngest in the class and whatever at the time. When I was there, I got into my program for pre-law, and I enjoyed it. Everything was cool, but I wanted something like I was working 3 jobs at the time. So I had I worked at Adidas as a visual merchandiser. So I would work early hours, and then I also worked at Starbucks, and then I also did volunteer tutoring for low income communities. So all these 3 jobs kind of filled my day, and I'm like, life is time is money. Like, it's not about, like, for me it was never about money. It was about how I used my time. And working 3 jobs, you basically sell your time for like bare minimum, like not in a bad way, but you do, like, you're basically, I give up all my days, right? So I started looking into courses online, and I found a course that was that taught you how to buy real estate, multifamily real estate, and make money off of it. So that was kind of my first introduction into real estate and like how to flip a house, like how appraisals work and like renovations and like things like that. So I got in there and I
And
learned.
you were 18 at the time.
At the time, I was actually, yeah, I was 18. Yeah.
Wow.
I
Okay.
just turned 18. Yeah. So I was going into my second year of university. Instead of taking the money that I had for university and going to school, I actually took a year off, and I took the money and I put it into a multifamily property in Hamilton. So it was one commercial unit, and then I bought a house which had 2 units. It was split in half. So I had a tenant upstairs and a tenant downstairs, and then I had my commercial unit, which was just 1 unit, and that was just set up on the main street in the front, downtown Hamilton.
Wow. Just
Yeah,
the mere thought
yeah,
of
it's
that,
crazy.
putting your college education money. I think that was a big risk that you took, right? You burned kind of a lot of your boats there to do what
100%.
you had to do.
I did. And it took a lot of convincing. Like, it was not an easy conversation, especially, like I said, my parents, all they wanted was for me to go to school. So, like, and I always promised them I will go to school. I will go to school. So when my mom heard I was taking a year off, she was like, I don't support it really. Like, she supports it, but a part of her, I know my mom, she loves me. She wants me to, thrive and excel. And she trusts me that I make good decisions. But a part of her inside's like, oh, I don't want you to leave and not go back, right? But I was just like, life is too short to spend my whole life working multiple jobs, multiple hours. Like, it's just not fair. My time is worth more. And I know I
Yeah.
have the brain, I have the mental capacity to make to think smart and not work hard. So if I can work smarter in less time and get the same results, why would I work eight
Makes sense.
hours to
Makes
make the
sense.
same amount of
And
money?
then you make your transition over, and then you sold that house, and you went on to do your next business. So what was all that all about?
Yeah, exactly. So I actually ended up selling the house right before COVID, which is so crazy because I had so many people telling me, oh, don't sell it. Don't sell it. It's real estate. Hold it. It's an asset. Whatever. Lots of people in my ear telling me that. But part of me was just like, I feel like we need to sell. Like, I have a weird feeling. I didn't know about COVID or anything. There was no talks about COVID. And then 2 weeks later, so I actually reached out to an agent. We sold the house, and then 2 weeks later, COVID hit, and everything was shut down. Everyone was sick. Everything was shut down 2 weeks after I sold the house. So I basically missed like a bullet by like inch, like just based on a gut feeling that I followed. So I was like, wow, that was really crazy. After I bought that property and I sold that property, so I started out of the box, which is now known as OOTB Consulting. And initially, when I started it, it actually started as an online education platform that I used to teach people in my generation how to make money outside of a 9 to 5. So when I got into university, I actually had an issue with a manager at the time who was very negative and would always, just try and instill very negative energy towards me when I was working. Oh, you're not going to be anything better than this. This is all, this is it for you. Like, very negative energy. So one day I just decided, I was like, I know I'm better than this. And I just quit. And I never went back to Adidas. The next day I bought a book. I bought Day Trading for Dummies. I read the whole book. And then by the second week, I was day trading, and I was trading in the gold markets, in the foreign exchange markets, and I was able to make like around $25,000 maybe within the next 6 months. And so I took that money, I went to school with it, and then after the fact, I started out of the box and I started teaching people my age how to trade, because I'm like, why not? I had students, like at one point I had like 200 students in my class. I even got hired by other trading companies to teach young people how to trade. It became like an identity for me for a while with Out of the Box. That's initially how I started the company. But then I realized day trading wasn't for me. I ended up getting into real estate, and then I took the real estate knowledge and I also turned that into a course. So I took my day trading knowledge, my real estate knowledge, and then Out of the Box was known as like an educational platform for young people. I taught people about credit and like how to build your credit so you can buy a house, like things like that. That it was a lot of financial, I guess you could say, steered education, but it was more about like stepping outside of the box, thinking of ways you can make money that are not orthodox.
Amazing story. Yeah. So, what is one day in the life of the Sneha today? Like, what's happening on a day-to-day basis?
Okay. Well, I mean, one day in the life, if we're talking weekday, then I'd wake up, make some breakfast. I love like avocado toast, so that's like my everyday breakfast. And then after that, I go basically straight into work. Like I'm on meetings all morning. Basically, I always meet with my team before I do anything. So in the morning, we get on a call. We discuss the goals for the day, deadlines, any important meetings, and then I go into my own meetings. I'm also very heavily involved with my partner's restaurant. So I'm also there on a daily basis and just making sure, like, I try to run operations there and make sure operations are running efficiently, innovate with marketing and things like that. So I'll come in and kind of do an hour or two at the restaurant, and then I'll come back home, work from home, finish any proposals. But I basically work all day. Like I will start at let's say 7 a.m. and I'll go
And
all.
you're studying in between as well.
Yeah, I am still in school. I'm in my second last year, but I am not in school at this very moment. I'll be going back in September, just because I decided to take the beginning part of the year to build my business and build my client base. And then I'll go back to school once things are more automated.
That's amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
There's so many things to learn from here, but regardless, Sneha, what is your advice to, and I know you already have that consulting business in place where you teach young kids, young children and youth basically on how
Right.
to be more financially literate, but what would be your advice to them? I don't know if we have too many of them in our audience of viewers, but
Right.
maybe the parents or anybody can get to have them watch this. What would be your advice to them, or to parents generally, to make their kids more financially savvy?
So I would say my advice to somebody my age, and I'm 23. So, like, I would say that my advice is to try anything that piques your interest. Just try it. Like, there, you lose nothing trying it. I think a lot of people are scared of failing. But there's no such thing if you're trying. Like, I think of it as long as you take a step and you try, then you can't fail. You can only learn. If you don't try, then you can fail because you never tried. So I would say that
Wayne
just
Gretzky, right? You
that,
miss.
I actually don't know where that came from, but I strongly believe in that. But I'm sure somebody great has said it. But yeah, it's the truth though, right? Like you just have to take that step and do random stuff. Like growing up, people used to say to me all the time, Sneha, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You need to slow down. You need to slow down. You're doing too much. Because since I was 14, I was working so many jobs. I was volunteering. I was in school. I was taking night school, after weekend school, summer school. Everyone used to tell me just slow down. But in my head, I'm like, I think I can handle it. So if I can handle it, there should be no reason for me to have to slow down to society's norm. So I just tried everything and then I learned what I liked, learned what I didn't like. And I'm still learning, mind you. I'm definitely nowhere close to being an expert on how life works. But I will say that I've learned that over time, starting all the businesses that I did and being in all those industries, I realized that I'm passionate about economics and I love business and I love law. So if I take all those three skills and I put them together, that's how I see out of the box growing now, moving forward 5 years, 10 years down the line. I hope to be like something. I hope that our company is known as the company that works with the businesses that grow. So if you're a business that is destined for, greatness, you have a CEO that's driven or a product that's groundbreaking, you bring it to us and we will nurture it and it will grow. And you will, make that business will be a Fortune 500 company one day. That's kind of
Absolutely
our goal with out of this.
amazing, amazing goal. But one thing, one advice that you have for young adults is that just go ahead and try what you want to try, right? Basically, that's the
Exactly.
summary of what you have.
That's
Okay.
that's the summary. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect.
And then if it was to parents, one thing I would say, which might be a little bit different, I would say just don't put too much pressure on your kid to do one thing. Like the fact that my parents gave me room to choose what I enjoy and to pursue it that way rather than being like, you have to be a lawyer. Like it gave me they were clear that I need to go to school, but they never put so much pressure on me. It gave me room to grow. Like give your kids room to grow. If they don't know what they're doing, like let them try different things to decide what they like and what resonates with them. That would be my advice to a parent.
Thank you, Sneha. This has been a very unique session in itself. Normally, our channel radios and recordings are not on the standard pattern that we have had this discussion today. So this was an interesting conversation. I hope the parents who are watching this or the young adult who are watching this will be able to take something away. And
Right.
Sneha, thank you so much for making the time to do this today.
Thank you.